Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's had a great day and ready to wrap this thing up. And I think Brian mentioned something about an after party, as always, so people are invited. It's my pleasure to introduce Maria Victoria Ortega, Architect, International Associate AIA, and Strategy Consultant with Hexagon Multivista. Maria works at the intersection of design, business, and innovation, focusing on turning complex challenges into scalable solutions that strengthen client partnerships. Today, she'll be presenting Closing the Gap, Aligning Architects, Engineers, and Builders Through AI-Driven Coordination. Please join me in welcoming Maria. Maria Victoria Ortega.
Thank you. I am the last one, so stay with me and we're almost ready to go to the after party at Johnny's. Well, here. So, today I wanted to speak about AI not replacing at all architects, but how AI can help us with different tools to close that gap between the workflow that we all know and that we are all part of. What I've been seeing in different projects and different architectural firms that I've worked with is that AI does not threaten creativity. So the thing here is that technology should be supporting the design intent and not to threaten it. So for those who don't know me, I am an architect from Argentina, and I started back in the days working inside the production teams, modeling in coordination meetings and with deadlines. After that, I switched more into the management side of it and to more a strategic role. And for the past 15 years, I have been working with architectural firms, helping them creating and developing different sizes of projects, different scope of works, and with different client sizes. And from all that years experience, I have learned that everybody has kind of the same struggle, and that's that the teams are not fully aligned, the design teams are not fully aligned. In our industry, the projects are not struggling because of a bad idea. The challenge is how we can coordinate better and use the AI coordination-driven tools to close that gap. So how many of you have to redesign something because of a late coordination discovery? So this is the workflow that we are all part of, right? So the architects present the design intents, develops the information, the model gets issued, goes to the engineers, technical adjustments happens, and then goes to the contractor. So then we have the construction questions appearing. And then all those RFIs are coming back to the architect. But what happens in between of that? Assumptions happen, design changes, RFIs, missing parameters. Now we have different platforms interpreting the geometry in different ways. So all that gets lost. The hidden costs of this misalignment. Today, the hard numbers of our industry are showing us that over 70% of the construction projects get some kind of schedule delays. And from that errors can come up to a 10% of the total project's budget. And besides that, our internal teams are using most of the half of their time reviewing errors that could have been resolved before to get into a coordination meeting instead of being proactive and analyzing different risks. So the hidden layers of these coordination failures, what we've seen is only the tip of the iceberg. We see the RFIs, we see the redesign of the design intent, the cost escalation, and the schedule delays. But beyond the surface, what we don't see relies into more deeply and much more dangerous in a way. So we have decision fatigue, we have defensive coordination, we are starting to being reactive instead of being proactive. We lost the trust between the disciplines and everything gets into a fight. So what can we do from our square meter as architects inside of all of these workflow? The good thing is that in a way we have already evolved from the hand drawing to the 2D CAD to the BIM and maybe to the AI-driven coordination. But all of these changes are about production because we hasn't evolved that much in the way that we coordinate. So what does AI actually mean? We have all these fancy words that we are more used to hear, if not every day. But what relies under it? Which ones do we need it? In what part of the process do we need it? And most importantly, why do we need it? Let me show you here some examples of how small changes within the process can bring value to the table and bring value to our place inside the workflow. Speeding modeling. This was a project, a multifamily project that we have to model an LOD 300 with a really tight schedule. And the good thing about this is that we had repetitive facade elements. And what we did here was to define an automated door window placement from the add-ins and from in-house custom software parameters, where we could populate really quickly all the geometry and all the model, and that way we could arrive earlier into the coordination, besides it was really accurate in the way that we model and the families that we were using. So from this manually task that should have taken us 40 hours, it only took 8 hours. This another project is a casino and hotel, Las Vegas. This was a 4 million square footage project. We were 20 people working in an Argentina office and in the Vegas office. This was 4 different models, one for the tower, one for the casino, one for the podium, and another one for the interior. In this case, the challenge was brought to us through the client who wanted to have all the models inside one Revit container, and from there, develop all the documentation at AIA. So you can just think of the heavy of that model was. And the thing is that if you have to develop a 200 sheet documentation, the errors here can be exponential. So what we did here was an automation for the CD set development and a structured documentation workflow, because besides to be able to create all the sheets, we could place all the views, and we also automate each one of the lines for the dimensions, for the tie-ins, and also for the rooms, which this brought us to an efficiency of 60% of our time. In this case, we were scanning. This was an old building in Madrid, a circle building, and we have to survey the existing conditions for a renovation for a shopping mall that is inside of it. The existing conditions were inside of a really tight and compressed schedule. So from here, what we did is automate QA/QC controls, and we measure it and we merge it with the tables and the schedules. So from that, we had a control panel where we can QA/QCing the levels, the constraints for all the different sub-levels that have between the elements, all the word sets, and all the wall types. So these provide us, again, a efficiency of 70% of our time, besides the accuracy of the elements. The final example, we are still working on it, but we have some measurements already in place. This is for the Rockefeller Center. We are working with the architectural and the MEP trades in order to get a boutique hotel inside of that existing building, so we cannot touch any core and shell. But we have to remodel and refurnish it within current hotel specification. So what we did here is, besides to create the support with the technology behind it, what we did was create a workflow that could allow us not to wait until we have the whole model in place, but we are coordinating floor by floor and trade by trade in terms of being ready to receive the next one, so that this came from a prior project when this was really successful. So in this case, the efficiency that we are getting is 60%. So we don't have to be at the end of the model just to sit down and talk to each other to see, hey, how we can clean this up. So we can do it on a daily basis and more frequently too. Okay, Q&A time? Yes.
So I think this is like all really like cool information. I think comment about coordination and delay schedule kind of hit close to home. But I was just wondering, because we are working in like a healthcare setting, and sometimes they have like a lot of project standard, whether it is like design or even the construction document, they want to use their own standard title block and something like that. Is that something that can be like implemented and like coordinated?
Yeah, for sure. I think that the first thing that you have to do is recognize those pain points, and from that workflow, then you start creating some kind of automation or see, hey, how we can improve this. But the first thing that you have to do is to detect those pain points.
I saw a lot of coordination efficiency during your production of architectural and construction document generation. Now, when that hit the field, did the contractor use the model, or did they run off the documents? Okay.
Yeah, because we're trying to work with all the stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it can happen, sometimes not, but ideally, we started from the designer and the pre-con, and then once it gets to the contractor, they kind of already know the model, so it's much more easier. And if it has to go back to the architect, they are kind of know each other, the relationship is better. It's a more empathic way that someone was talking about a little while ago, but yeah. Yes.
I guess I'm curious about the metrics for efficiency. Are you quantifying that with like hours or time in the model, or
Hours of production.
hours of production?
Yes.
And then does that go back to like the project leadership to help
Yes.
with like staffing?
Yes. We implement it within the lessons learned, and then it gets bumped into the whole the rest of the team.
And then like what's the time from when you have the data to see the increase or the impact, like you give it to the project leader? Is it like months or days or weeks, or what is that?
The time frame that we use, 1 week, 1 week, 1 person, 40 hours.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, is your company like a consulting
Yes.
firm?
Yes,
So that's why, because they're trying
Oh,
to
gotcha.
optimize the time of
Okay.
them delivering for the same price, right? Because you kind of work not by hour, but
Yeah.
fixed.
yeah,
Okay.
Well, that makes sense, okay.
yes.
And these are all tools you've developed in-house to automate? and-
There's a mix between adding Dynamo, Python, and on in-house software development. But depending on what you are looking for, it's like, it can be in the internet free. Yes,
You talked about the coordination between different disciplines, so I wonder if in the system that you just showed, there's like the documentation of like every single correspondence changes, because when everything's in live and like BIM or we have a coding session, whatever, not every change is like, I just like don't know if every change is documented in a way that if something went wrong in the future, then we know what happened, that kind of history.
it is. Generally, the GC is the one that is telling us where should we document it, but we have to document it, for sure. Yes,
Maybe you could just speak, I mean, on the whole day, you're the last speaker, where do you see this from your perspective, where do you see this going from this? All this cross coordination, is there some sort of magic, singularity moment where we're perfectly coordinated and all we reach this magic moment, or?
I'm optimistic regarding AI, but I don't believe in magic. At the end of the day, this is all people's users at the end. So it is still relying on us in how much do we get involved on it and how much value do we have to give to the process. Yeah,
Do you see advantages there?
Yeah.
Less R5?
Yes.
faster?
yes, dramatically.
But
Yeah.
is there a trade-off between the amount of coordination you have to do with all your consultants in the model phase versus like how traditionally it's sort of like loaded onto the R5 system?
The thing is that the most coordination you do earlier, the more QC, the more QA you do, the less QC you're gonna have. So if you make it an habit, it's gonna be easier for the teams to do it on a daily basis, not to wait until the project gets 100% CD. And in terms of the reality, the project is gonna suffer less dramatically. So, yes.
Very interesting that you have metrics that are really interesting to me. Was this the first time, I mean, how long have you been developing this process? Was it intended as a one-time exercise, or are you continuing to accelerate?
I'm measuring every project that I'm involved in. I'm not that involved in projects from a couple of years ago, but when I was leading the architectural team, this was part of my daily tasks.
So do you see this accelerating? even
It
more?
is, yeah, for sure, for sure. I do have one, like,
Please, no, go
some words to closing up. So, closing up, creativity has never been about drawing faster, producing more options, or generating better renderings. That's production. Real creativity lies in defining the right question, in making decisions under real constraints, in protecting an idea when everything in the project pushes against it, in integrating context, culture, budget, and technology into one coherent intention. AI cannot do that. AI does not define architectural intelligence. Architects do. Thank you.